Here we go, everyone. It's 2:30 p.m. It's a Wednesday afternoon. And as usual, you're watching Innovation Fika with me, Donny, here live from Stockholm. KTH, Stockholm, Sweden. KTH is the biggest tech university in Sweden and the best in the world, of course. Every Wednesday afternoon, I go live with my Innovation Fika, the 30-minute coffee break. Fika in Swedish means coffee break, the innovative break that we have every day, at least once or twice per day, when we leave our desks and we sit down around a table, have a cup of coffee and a cinnamon roll bun, and talk about things not maybe about our jobs, which is the way to get new inputs into the discussion as well. Fika, coffee break. So this is a 30-minute coffee break where I get to interview really interesting people and talk to them about really interesting ideas, and also usually ends up with some really educational and inspirational content. So I'm really happy to do these sessions, and I have a really cool guest today as well. I will introduce him in just 1 minute, but I will say before as well, this is live on multiple channels, and all of the recorded content is saved on YouTube. So make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Innovation Fika. It's the same name everywhere. Go to YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever you want to go. It's Innovation Fika everywhere. But everything is recorded and saved on YouTube, and also all of the written content, because I write and post almost every day about entrepreneurship and innovation and inspiration and motivation. But I post mostly on LinkedIn. All of that is saved on Medium as well. So on my Medium page, you'll now find 460 or so posts, all on entrepreneurship and startups and leadership and whatever connected to that. But enough about that. Enough about me. We have 160 plus people signed up for the event today. So I hope you're all live online. Add in the comments who you are, where you're from, get the discussion going, get the questions going, so we can get them in as well. And with that, I will introduce today's guest. Without further ado, welcome into the studio, Timothy Hughes.
Hello, Donny. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. This is great. And actually, it's kind of cool because on a meta level, how we met on LinkedIn, through a network thread. So we're kind of proving the point of what we're talking about today in a sense of the way.
I had a CEO on a Zoom call the other day, and he said to me, "I don't believe any of this works." And I said, "So how do you think we got on this call?" And he went, "Oh, yes."
Yes, you are. And with that, welcome into the studio. And I, as I said, I always ask all of my guests, the simple questions: who are you and what do you do? So, Timothy, give us that in a nutshell.
So I'm Timothy, or Tim Hughes, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of a company called DLA Ignite. We are an organization that helps companies digitally transform. And one of the areas that we help them digitally transform is in the area of sales. And I've written a book called Social Selling Techniques to Influence Buyers and Changemakers. The second edition is just coming out. So one of the areas that we help people digitally transform is in sales, but we also do human resources and transform across the whole of the organization. So this is transforming using strategic social media.
Okay. And then you use the term there, and the book is also, I can see it behind you there as well, the framed one.
Yes.
Really good. But because that's a term that we're hearing a lot, but what is, in your definition, social selling?
So first and foremost, what it isn't basically sending people spam messages on social media. That's sending spam messages on social media. So the problem that most organizations face is that they have been, all of the marketing and sales that have been done so far is based on interruption. So cold calling, email marketing, advertising, I interrupt you and I pitch a message. And that doesn't work on social media. Because it's social and it's media and it requires you to be social. So we have a definition which is it's using your presence and behavior on social media to build influence, make connections, grow relationships and trust, which lead to conversation and commercial interaction. Now, the reason why I talk about conversation is that what I sell and what most people sell in the B2B world requires a conversation. So just turning up on social media and saying, hey, here's my brochure won't generate you anything at all. In fact, it will probably drive people away because no one's interested in brochures. What they're looking for is a conversation. And we have research that shows that that's what social media is about. Again, it's social media, it's in the name. Yeah. And so what conversations drive sales. And so that's what your prime goal is, to have a conversation.
And that is, you said so many good keywords in that definition there that we could, but something that popped up when you did the definition was relationships.
Yep.
Trust.
Yep.
And conversations.
Yes.
Which I feel that it's because I'm just sort of putting things out there, and I'm hoping to hear your comments about this, because I feel that sometimes people are in too much of a hurry. You get, sometimes you even get a LinkedIn message, and there's like a sales pitch. The first thing they hey, Donnie, do you want to buy this? I'm going, no. I don't even know you yet.
Yeah.
And then some people have heard or read that you don't sell in the first message. So then I get, hi, Donnie, I'd love to be in your network. I say, okay, that's cool. And then comes, by the way, buy my product. And it's like, sort of, whoa, you did it again.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Is that that people believe that because they've done interruption marketing and sales for such a long time, what you do is you come onto social media and you do interruption sales and marketing. Now, actually, we know that the our research shows that that will get you so far, but it won't. It's actually, you'll get a better response than cold calling by doing that. You generally get about cold calling is about a 99% failure rate. If you spam people on social media, you're probably now at a 94% failure rate. So the thing is that, and the reason why people are in so much of a rush is that because it's such a high failure rate, you've got to throw a lot of mud at the wall to help it will stick. Yeah. Whereas if you actually use proper social selling techniques and the methodology, you'll get a far better return.
Yeah. And also from Tara here, relationships, trust, and conversations. This is how you build a community that likes, trusts, and buys from you. Well said. And thank you, Tara. And I know Tara is also living it herself in a good way. Happy to see you on the call as well, Tara.
Thanks, Tara. Yeah, and community is quite often used as a word which is seen by sales leaders as fluffy. Sales is this male red meat thing, and that's for marketing. No, community and probably maybe not for today, but we talk a lot to organizations about who is the leading technical and commercial digital influence in your marketplace.
Exactly.
And the thing is that you can be a startup, you can be a small company, and you can own the narrative for that particular marketplace by being on social, doing something like this. The cost of this is relatively small. But what you're doing is that you're actually, you can actually own the market and own that narrative and be an anchor for whatever it is that you're selling, payroll, accountancy systems, or whatever it is. And what people don't understand is what you can do is build a community, and that generates conversations. And what do conversations do? Generate sales.
Of course, and it's so weird that we're talking about such basic human interpersonal needs and works here. But if you look at sales with long sales cycles and big business to business sales, it's usually a relationship that you have for years and years and years. So
yes, and the relationship I have with you, Donnie, is with you. If you go and work for London Business School next week, I then have a relationship with Donnie at London Business School.
Exactly.
And what brands don't understand is that brands don't mean anything anymore. Of course, Levi and Nike and stuff like that. But if you're a guttering company in Kingston upon Thames, then it doesn't matter. What does matter is the relationships that we have with people, because people still buy people. And the thing about social media is it's social. So if you look at, so we did an exercise recently. So for example, Cristiano Ronaldo, currently the Manchester United footballer, he has more followers than the top 10 biggest brands in the world. He has more followers than Apple. He has more followers than Nike. And the reason for that is that people are interested in people. And the thing about social is we go on social. The research shows this. We go on social not to read brochures. We go on social to be social, to talk and have conversations, and look for information, look for insight. I've got this big business problem. I've been given this big project by my boss. What do? I turn to social media. I turn to my network. I turn to what's going on out there and saying, what can I find? Oh, look, I need a presentation for the board. Oh, great. Someone's actually got one. That's great. That saves me putting that together, and I can go and change that. That's this is where what people are doing is that they're helping people. And when you know that I've just got a board presentation from Tara, everyone will go, Tara's a really great person. She helped me with that board presentation. I may not know her, I may never have met her, but I know Tara is the place I'm going to go next time I've got a board presentation. And it's about moving away from this understanding that we have to interrupt people and pitch, to actually understand that this is about relationships. Now, what I will say about relationships is a lot of people will come on here and tell you that social selling takes a long time. It does not. We have clients, and I have one in my, funnily enough, I have a book out. I don't know if I mentioned that. One of the clients, the CMO at Telstra, said she couldn't believe how fast you can make relationships. If you think about a network like LinkedIn, what happens is that I can connect to you, Donny, and immediately have a conversation with you, not about what I'm selling, but we have a conversation about, oh, you grew up in Cornwall. Oh, yeah. you've got Greek parents. Oh, I remember when I went to this. And what we do is that we form this. All of us like to have this thing where we form this connection with people. But we can build a relation. I can build a relationship with, this particular CEO I talked about earlier on. It took me 2 days.
I know. I think that's an incredible power. I know, and I'm seeing this on LinkedIn more and more and more. Where I mean, so we've started this group, the Founders Sunday group on LinkedIn, and that's how I met a lot of new people. So if anybody watching this, go to the Founders Sunday group on LinkedIn. Every Sunday there's a live thread there to meet other people, and that's how I've met a number of really incredible people that I'll be meeting in London as well when I go there in 4 weeks. And it's just it actually you don't have to sell to them the first thing you do. That's the kind of rooting the whole thing. That might come later. But okay, so we've got lots of people online now, and everybody's going, yeah, but what about this social selling thing? What do I do then? It sounds great. I need to do this. Where do we start?
So there's 3 things that you need to do around social selling. So we talked earlier on about it's about building your presence, behavior on social media to build influence, make connections, grow relationships and trust, which lead to conversation and commercial interaction. So what does that mean? Well, first and foremost, your LinkedIn profile or anything to do with social media is in effect a shop window. It's a shop window to the world. There's 850 million people on LinkedIn. Therefore, every day, 850 million people walk past your shop window and they go, that person looks boring, or that person looks interesting, or that person looks like they can help me. And then actually you might feel that you want to walk forward to that person and say, can you help me? So one of our clients, which is an Oracle reseller, Namos, has about 100 staff. They had exactly that. They had someone, they've been through our training program. There was a buyer out there. They said, I think that salesperson can help me. They walked towards them because they don't look like a salesperson. They look like someone that can help them. They said, can you help me? That turned into a transaction. That turned into a $2.6 million deal. They then took another $500,000 out of that company 6 months later. So what we're doing is that we're seeing transactions from small to very large taking place very quickly on social. Why? First thing you need to have is what we call a buyer-centric profile. This is a
buyer-centric profile.
Buyer-centric profile. This is a profile that your buyers will be interested in. It's not about you or your company. So nobody's interested in your company. Nobody's interested in your products. Until I know about them, I'm not. So no point trying to pitch to me that you got, and everybody goes to the market and says the same thing, which is buy my product because we're great. If anyone's watching this and they say buy my product because we're the 5th best in the market, then please contact me because I'd love to know. So everybody says the same thing. So my background is selling accounting systems. Every single accounting provider, Sage, SAP, Oracle, all go to the market and say exactly the same thing, which means that as a buyer, we have no way of actually working out, because we're not the experts, you are. We don't know how to work out what the best accounting system is. But what we see from a buyer-centric profile, so a great example of that is Chris Fleming, who is a CEO at Cyberhawk. You can, people watching this, you can Google him and you can bring this up. What it shows is the CEO about who he is. And everybody in Cyberhawk, the whole of the C-suite, are all active on social media. They're people that you go, that person looks just like me. They're interesting. They've got interesting things. And that's what we find, is that the more personal you're about yourself, the more that people will walk towards you, which is completely transformation from what you have at the moment, which is, I'm not going to go near that person because they're a salesperson and I don't like salespeople. I don't trust them and I don't believe a word they say. So the second thing that you need is a wide and varied network. I mean, Donnie, you and I met through network, and the wider, the bigger and wider that you can build it, the better. And the reason for that partly is the way that search works on LinkedIn, but also if I'm connected to the CEO of your company, you're more likely to connect to me because you go, well, Tim Hughes must be a great guy because he's connected to the CEO of my company.
Yeah.
So the more people that you can connect to, these are the people that you're trying to influence. So one of the people that work for me, they have a target account. They're connected to 1,000 people on LinkedIn. They're connected to the whole of the C-suite in the UK and the whole of the C-suite in the US. And people in that company come to him and say, you're connected to a lot of people in my company. Can you they actually are coming to him to ask about how things are going on in the company, because he's so well networked within the business. And this is, this is not about being connected to one person or 2 people. This is about connecting to people, all the people that you need to influence.
I actually have a really, really good story about that, because I spent a year and a half on the West Coast in the US, in Silicon Valley. I was working in Palo Alto and I was living in San Francisco. And everybody was going to all of these startup events, and they met their peers at the startup events, and they were doing the cockfighting, pitching thing, all that. And I was like, yeah, but I do that all day long. I don't need to do that at my spare time as well. So I went to meetup.com and I found some interest groups that I liked, like food tech or biohacking, whatever, lots of things like that. I went to boot camps, early morning boot camps down in Palo Alto, 5 o'clock in the morning, doing push-ups on the Stanford field. And that's how I met a number of really, really, I was doing push-ups beside the product manager of Apple AirBook and the mayor of Palo Alto, and really good friends of mine now, after having spent 6 months doing push-ups beside them and going to meetups about food tech in San Francisco. And, as you said, a wide and varied network is really important. And that's how you can build connections that you don't know today who you will need to talk to tomorrow. I think that's a really, really interesting thing as well.
Yep. And the third thing you need is content. And the reason for that is that we know that the modern buyer, and so is the modern job hunter, and so is the modern investor, all looking for content. That we go online because we're looking for insight. We're looking to be entertained. We're looking for someone to tell us something that we don't know. So what we're looking for is that piece of content that's going to help them. So the reason why that person walked forward to that salesperson at Namos was that they saw a piece of content and said, you obviously understand my business problem. So it's not just about having a profile that says you look interesting. It's also about having stuff in the window of your shop to say, these are the things that will be useful to you. Now, quite often people see that as the way they start will be, well, what I'll do is I'll take a Harvard Business Review report and I'll post it, which is fine. The problem with that is that probably 10,000 people post it. So what happens is that lots of people post it. It doesn't become original. And what you've got to do is start becoming and it's a modern skill, just like 20 years ago, you had to learn how to use PowerPoint or Excel. Today, you need to learn how to use and create content. Now, I'm not talking about 2,000 word white papers. You can write a great blog in 300 words. It doesn't take a lot of time to create content, but we know that our buyers are out there. Therefore, if you're not creating content and posting it, you're invisible.
But you also talk about authenticity. I mean, it actually is, you want to be, you talked about that. You talked about owning, you said the small startup can actually own.
Yeah. If you look at content out there, you can smell a mile off when it's been written by a marketing agency. You can smell a mile off when it's not been, you go, well, I know someone who posted something recently, and it all talks about the metaphor with it. It's about Formula One. I know that the person doesn't know anything about Formula One. So I know that post was written for them, and therefore it's not authentic. And what we're looking for is that we're looking for the real you. We're looking for expertise. We're looking for advice, and we're looking for people that can help us. And you're not going to get that by having some marketing agency written content. It has to be created by yourself. So Chris Fleming, the CEO of Cyberhawk, we've helped him build a digital organization based on strategic social media. And he sees very much as them having two companies, a drones company and also a media company, because creating media is the fluid that today that is the way that you're going to get leads, meetings, and conversations, and showing that insight and that ability to help, because that's what buyers are looking for, is that a person that's going to help them.
I mean, I think we can all sort of, on the fingers of one hand, we can sort of mention some people that we see in social media that we feel are for real and that are writing their own content and that come across as authentic. And then we can, the same thing, we can go, yeah, but this is regurgitated content that they've just picked up and reposting it, and it doesn't, as you say, it doesn't come across as believable or authentic for that.
Well, when you start off, posting a Harvard Business Review article that you find is fine, or a Deloitte report or something like that, because you're starting off. But there's a point where you can't go any further with it, because like everybody's doing, and you need to start creating content yourself.
It's actually, it's 8 minutes to 3. This is the world's fastest half an hour, as we say. And we will not leave people without, of course, as always, we're gonna summarize this, and all of the guests on the show always have, a summary with their top 3 tips that we're talking about. And we actually talked about, you actually mentioned them very nicely through our conversation. But let's run through as a summary here then. Timothy Hughes, top 3 tips for social selling, with tip number 1 being create a
authentic profile.
Explain, please, again.
So having this is about having your shop window to the world, and it's open 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, and this needs to be working hard for you and working for you even when you're asleep. And this is not necessarily about your company or your products. It's about what a buyer will see and say, I think that person can help me, and walking across to you and saying, can you help me? And you then turning that into a $2.6 million deal.
Excellent. Tip number 2, build a wide and diverse network.
So that's about making sure that you're connecting to the people that can influence you. So in my background, which is B2B enterprise, it may be connecting to people like in KPMG or Deloitte, because they may be advising the company, they may be advising Shell or the people that you're trying to sell to. It's about making sure that you're connected to, I used to work in life sciences, and I had GlaxoSmithKline as a client, but they actually used to go to an ex-employee who was now at AstraZeneca to say, we've got this system, what do you think about it? Have you got one? So he was actually an influencer to the sale at GlaxoSmithKline. So it was also about building connections in AstraZeneca as well. So it's and this isn't about having 10, 5 or 10 connections. Connect to as many people as you can. And don't forget that every time you connect to somebody, don't pitch. This is not about pitching. You won't get, you'll get so far, but you won't get You won't get the big bucks from social selling. What you need to do is have a conversation. So when you connect to somebody, it's not about you, it's about the people that you're connecting to.
Everything is so good, so good. Happy this is being recorded, because this is something to play back afterwards. And tip number 3, solve a need, and of course win with authentic content.
Yes, so I'll give you an example. We were targeting a particular PE, so a private equity company. And so we found out what their business issue was, and their business issue was that because of COVID, they weren't growing as fast as they would like to. But therefore, they were having to plan an exit in 5 years, not 3 years. So what they were doing is that they needed to grow into international markets. So we wrote a blog about how so first and foremost, we have buyer-centric profiles. We then connected to the people within the accounts and connected to the people that we wanted to influence. We then put out a piece of content that said, if you do this, this, and this, which happens to be write a buyer-centric profile, build a diverse network, and et cetera, et cetera. If you do all this, what will happen is that you will get into international markets. 10 minutes from the posting of the article, the MD rang us up and said, you need to come and talk to us. And for an MD to actually ring you up and say, come and talk. And so that was the Tuesday. We presented to the board on the Friday. We got a purchase order the week after. And this is where people say that social selling takes a long time. Really?
It does work. I mean, we talked about before the call, we talked about how did you get your job and how do you end up there? And it's all about the networking.
And Donnie, if you take this and scale this out across this is a future. You take this out and scale it across the organization. So you get, so I know a lot of people say, well, I'm not in sales. Well, that's fine. Talk about your organization. Talk about what the great diversity. Talk about your ESG policy. Talk about your inclusion. Talk about the fact that you love the fact that you have a coffee and a Danish pastry. It doesn't matter, but you can talk about these things. And what you'll find is that people will go, that's a company I want to buy from. Or they'll go, that's a company I want to work for. Or that's a company I want to invest in. So this isn't just about sales. This builds out across the whole of the enterprise. So one of our clients, which is Cambridge Analytica, not Cambridge Analytica, they're called Cambridge Display Technologies in Cambridge. They're not using adverts to recruit people anymore, or using recruitment consultants, because they don't have to, because they use social.
Of course.
So so what they've done is that they've made the place more efficient and stripped out cost.
Yeah.
And that's not in sales, that's in HR. So what you're doing is that you're seeing this complete change taking place and transformation taking place of basically, in effect, human-centric digital transformation, where it's the people and the processes that are transforming to use digital. I should say, we're the only company in the world that does this.
Hold up the book again. Show us the book.
So the book is Social Selling Techniques to Influence Buyers and Changemakers. It's the second edition, has a yellow cover.
Yeah.
And it's on Amazon worldwide. Or if you go to koganpage.com, there is a discount code, which is there, AMKT20. And if it doesn't work, come back to me and we'll have a conversation.
Exactly. I mean, that's even better.
I think I should have actually sent out the wrong code, Donnie.
You should have sent out the wrong code, so people get in touch with you going, damn it, Timothy, it doesn't work.
The code doesn't work. You fell for it.
But of course, that's the perfect way of doing it. No, I'm so really go to koganpage.com, AMKT20 for your discount, especially for our live viewers. Let's see, I got that one back again. Put this one on again. This has been Innovation Fika, episode 79 with Tim Hughes, and it actually is 14:59 now, 3 o'clock on the nose. This fastest half an hour in the world. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks, Donnie. I've loved it. It's been fantastic.
Viewers, not so many.
Thanks, Tara, for your comment.
Tara here. People don't buy from faceless companies; they buy from other people. This is the power of building a personal brand and forming relationships on social media. Thank you, Tara. Very good. Again, summary of what we've been talking about today. Reach out to Timothy on LinkedIn.
Please do.
And tune in Wednesday afternoons, 2:30 p.m. Innovation Fika. Every week, same time, same place. And I will see you all next week. And Tim, thank you again so much for today.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye for now.
Bye.